Now, the next book that we will consider as another testimony to the Avestan texts is another Zoroastrianism work called the Denkard. And the Denkard is dated linguistically to the 9th or 10th century of the Common Era. It mentions two occasions in which the texts of the Avesta were collected together, and again, this would be during the 3rd and 4th centuries of the Common Era, during the Sasanian period. So in Book 4 of the Denkard, in verse 17 through 19, is where we have these accounts of the texts of the Avesta being collected together and collated. Now, the manuscript evidence for the Denkard, the actual copies that we have, are dated to the 17th and 18th centuries of the Common Era. That is to say, the actual copies that we have are dated to the 17th and the 18th centuries of the Common Era. So, linguistically dated to the 9th and 10th centuries of the Common Era, manuscript evidence 17th and 18th century of the Common Era. So in reviewing these two works, I've put together a chart to illustrate where the actual manuscript copies still in existence today are placed in history. So here is where they're dated historically, and here is where they are dated linguistically. Now this is important to understand because we need to balance our assessment of the texts in light of the manuscript evidence and the historical evidence. So, one more notable reference to Zoroastrianism in regard to the transmission of the texts is from a Roman source, Pliny the Elder. In his work, Natural History, Book 30, verse 3 and 4, we read about a individual by the name of Hermippus, which this individual is dated to the 5th century before the Common Era. And he mentions that this individual translated 2 million lines of Zarathustra's sayings. But again, we don't have that evidence, and we don't know what those Zoroastrianism texts were. We only have a reference to them. So far we've covered the manuscript evidence for the Zoroastrian texts and the historical evidence in regard to the texts. Now, what we need to do is take a closer look at the reasons for assigning the texts of the Avesta to the dates in which they are signed to. Now, let me just reiterate one more time the importance of understanding these matters because of how they affect our interpretation of history.